Yeah, hi, JB Cycles here with an update on the Norwegian markets. Tomorrow I'll do the S&P, but once in a while I have a look at the Norwegian market, which is closely related to oil and energy. So I had this cycle composite here in red, and for a long time during this year I was very curious how this would play out. This red cycle composite being very bullish here from around September and the rest of this year. So my last video I made around here at the lows, and since then we have rallied as expected. So let's have a look. I'm zooming out. I'm doing some analysis based on cycle theory, and wavelets is one of my tools. And I have what I would call a pattern recognition projection here in green. And I should say this would kind of be my least bullish projection. And this one is suggesting we should at least rally into, well, I should say this is 2-week data. 2 weeks between every point here. So this is suggesting a top around New Year. And it suggests we should see a lot of strength these coming few months. And I also have another very similar projection. This one is based on the 3.5-year cycle, and some analogs or possible analogs to the current situation. So the scenario is in green, and as we see that this one is telling the exact same story as the previous one, suggesting a top around New Year. Normally, I should say, I would have expected a later top in this bull market, and that still may be the case. And normally, I would have looked for a top sometime late in the winter or spring, early summer, sometime. But let's have a look at some. Well, these are my shorter term cycles for Norway. And we see we have some kind of a dominant cycle here making these lows. And my previous video was around at this time somewhere. So this one it does have some strength into mid November and a low in December, and then the next top would be early next year, January, February sometime. So if we are to look for a major top, we could have a major top already now in November for Norway. But the previous longer term projections suggested a top around New Year, and then I would rather look for a major top at this next cycle top, which was around January, February. I have again from what I would call some pattern recognition based on wavelets. We do have a typical oscillation that corresponds or correlates with this major cycle, and this oscillation, I have a scenario here in green, blue and light blue, and the current situation in red. So this oscillation, it has a scenario with a low here and the next low over here, and I have divided this scenario up in 2 parts. And we see we have just gone through this first part, 1, 2, 3 waves, and then a low. And now we have begun the next one. As we see here, we are in the middle of this first wave. Then we should make a topping formation with the next one around mid-November, and then go down to a low mid-December. And that is pretty much what I also get from my excuse me, hourly data. So this is the hourly data for Norway, and I have a typical oscillation here of a few weeks. What is it? 5 weeks or something like that. Well, there are three scenarios with different strength. This red one is a very bearish scenario, while the two others are rather bullish. So this current oscillation in green started very weak. It looked like we were following this very bearish one, but then we found momentum, and then this more or less killed the bearish scenario here. So when we gained this momentum, I expected some kind of a B, C consolidation, and looks like that is what we got. Now we are breaking out to new all-time highs, suggesting that at this point we are now back over here and have started a new oscillation, and we are around here now. This point is analog to this, suggesting we should complete this wave, have a small pullback, and then start making a topping formation around mid-November. Yeah, my cat is here. You want to go out? Yeah, you have to wait a little bit. So let me complete this. Here I have my 4-week cycle. It is not exactly 4 weeks, but it's very close to 4 weeks, and the cycle is my secret. You see the secret here in the cycle here in red. Current situation here and analogs going back in time. We see market typically make some kind of a low at this point. So this cycle has stayed stable for most of this year. So I am assuming it is still stable. So this is suggesting we have just made a low. Actually, you see, if we go over here, this low came a little bit early, in fact, compared to this cycle. So yeah, maybe it's not working that well anymore. We have to see about that. I'm really having trouble with this cycle for the S&P. It has become very messy these recent weeks for the S&P. Anyway, I would like to return to where I began here. Let's have a look at some individual cycles. So we see this one of I think a more correct length is I think 103 calendar days. Anyway, we still have some time left in this cycle, and then we have this one of 237. Here we have just begun. You know, this was a major low. We are just in the beginning phase here of this one, suggesting a top. Well, that's what I talked about earlier. Maybe a major top for Norway around February. And Norway and energy is a late mover, a lagging market, so it's possible that the US could make an earlier bull market top, while Norway and energy could make a later top in the winter. We have to see about that. Yeah, I have this cycle. This one is not the very best one. It is the Earth-Jupiter cycle, which actually is 399 calendar days. And then the better one, the 73.5-week cycle, is very prominent in the US, and also for Norway, 515 calendar days. Here we just made a major low, but it is possible we could make a very early bearish left translated top for the US, but the cycle is bullish well into next year. So that's it for Norway. And well, I should say the oil price hasn't really broken out yet, but Norway is making all-time highs, and I think oil should follow. Yeah, see ya.